Well, welcome from the state of Colorado, Wildcats. It's a blessing to be with you. And just this week, I believe your calling, your commission, your purpose in life is to restore God's justice in our world, the world that you will forge into soon. Back in none of your business, when I was a student here at Abilene Christian University, there was a slogan that the university used to advertise its identity, its purpose. And just like you guys here today, we made fun of the slogan. The slogan was the ACU difference. Well, I used to sit up there in section D, the ACU difference. What is that, tumbleweeds? Bean food, the beautiful mountain vistas, the ACU difference. But there is no doubt, if you believe in Jesus Christ, if you are a person of faith, your calling, your life mission is to be different, to be distinct. In Jeremiah chapter 9, God speaks through the prophet Jeremiah, and he describes the difference of your life as being born out of a relationship. The difference, that distinctive quality, comes out of a relationship experience. God says in Jeremiah 9:23, "Don't let the wise boast in their wisdom, or the powerful boast in their power, or the rich boast in their riches. But those who wish to boast should boast in this alone, that they truly know me and understand that I am Lord, who demonstrates unfailing love and who brings justice and righteousness to the earth, and that I delight in these things." The ACU difference? The ACU difference is to find God, and in doing so, find and follow your greater life purpose. The ACU difference is to leave here changed to represent the real and present God who works through us in dynamic ways for the rest of your life, to change things around here, to restore God's justice. The way it's going down right now was never God's plan. This suffering that exists in the community that you will one stand in, that was never God's plan. So you represent God's presence, His shalom, to bring about transformation. The transformation that occurs in you will flow through you into communities. We live differently because we join God to do something that brings justice in this world. In the 1990s, I got a chance to work here at Abilene Christian for a long time. And one day, I had been noticing a long-haired student and met him. His name was Dave Hall. Dave Hall was from Oregon, and being a student from Oregon, marooned here in West Texas, I took him to the only cool place that a hippie student might want to go, the health food store in Abilene over on Butternut. He was a fraught, and he was a Bible major, and he was embracing the call to be different. Dave's family had moved to Texas. His dad was a minister, and he'd graduated from high school in Temple, Texas. And I believe that Dave really exemplified the ACU difference. He loved God, he loved others, and when he graduated from Abilene Christian, he left to go use his life to create God's change and mission in the world. Dave understood that invitation in Jeremiah 9, "But those who wish to boast, boast in this alone, that they truly know me, that they understand that I am the Lord who demonstrates unfailing love and who brings justice and righteousness to the earth." That demonstration, that word demonstration in Jeremiah 9 is your invitation. You put your name. I'm going to do that. I'm going to demonstrate God's justice in the world. That's me. That's me in Scripture. God promises God promises us, if we punch through all the religious pomp, if you break through all of your excuses and whiny fears, if you break out of the half-baked devos, when you really know God, you will be changed. You will be radicalized. You will become a revolutionary. Isn't there something that stirs inside of you at those moments when you really feel God close, when the worship really speaks to you, when the word really grabs you? Isn't there something inside of you that yearns to be a revolutionary? Isn't there something inside of you that says, I'm supposed to be different, I'm supposed to be significant, I'm supposed to do something that matters with my life? Find and follow God to your greater life's purpose. Well, Dave left Abilene Christian a revolutionary. He gave his life to be the presence and the justice of God in our world. He taught at a school in Redwood City, California for a while, and then he accepted the job as the director of a hunger relief organization called Manna International. Now back in the 90s, Manna International was where many aspiring radicals went to learn how to use their life to make a significant difference in the world. That Jeremiah 9 invitation, represent God, bring justice. Dave followed that script as an invitation into the most desperate places on the planet Earth. In 1998, Dave joined my wife and I in Nairobi, Kenya. We were working in the slums of Nairobi, Kenya with orphaned boys because most of the girls had been sold into the sex slave. One afternoon, Dave led 8 Americans through the Mathare slum. 300,000 people live along the Mathare River today in Nairobi in abject squalor. We toured that day the slum with 40 orphan boys that we'd been working with for a couple of weeks. And these boys lived in little metal lean-tos in the slum, and they were so proud to show us where they lived. After about an hour of touring the slums, and of course all the Africans are gathering around, all the Wazungi, all the white guys and white people, suddenly we hear screaming. And this African woman is wailing and screaming and waving her arms, and she's rushing towards us. Suddenly, all these orphan boys just crowded around us and began to shield us with their bodies. Well, quickly somebody translated as she's screaming in Swahili that her son has just died. And she's begging us, would you please come to my house and pray for me? And one of the African leaders looked at me and said, Reg, it might be a trap. And so we separated our group into 2 groups, and Dave and I, a couple of others, went to this woman's little hovel of a dwelling. And there in the darkness, she held onto my arms and wailed in bereavement as I prayed for God's presence and justice in her life. I am the Lord who demonstrates unfailing love and who brings justice and righteousness to the earth. After about 5 weeks, my wife and I left Kenya, but Dave stayed on for the next 4 years. He soon found himself upcountry Ethiopia drilling water wells in small villages for 2 years. He changed the lives of thousands of people you will never see, whose names will never be spoken in your presence. You see, God demonstrates His love and His justice through us. This is the ACU difference. This is your life purpose. This is why you were born. God redeems every tear you've ever cried, every fear you've ever experienced, every moment you've trembled. God takes and redeems and crafts in you the grit of purpose thrust you into the world of pain, and you lead God's justice and change. I tell you Dave's story this morning as an invitation, but also a warning. 2002, Dave came back from Kenya. Manna International, along with many nonprofits, really struggled in the early 2000s. Manna closed up shop. Dave moved, tried to figure out where to live, called me, moved to Denver. Well, he was engaged. He was so excited. His engagement fell through. Thought he had a job lined up. His job fell through, and he couldn't find a job. Thought he had housing lined up. His housing fell through, and pretty soon he was living in our basement, where he lived for months. And then he moved from house to house with friends, struggling to find a job. During the next few years, God felt very distant to Dave. He struggled with disillusionment. He struggled with depression. A week ago, Sunday, February the 17th, folks that live upstairs found Dave dead in his kitchen, his apartment in Denver. Friday, friends and family will meet to mourn and to celebrate Dave's life. Here's what Dave would want me to tell you this morning. Here's what Dave's family would want you to know. During those dark days, during those struggles, Dave tried to handle his pain with alcohol. Somewhere in all that, Dave lost his dream. And when he lost his dream, he lost his life. So I've come here today to ask you if you will take Dave's place. Because you see, injustice is still raging in our world. There is still unmitigated suffering that does not have to exist. And I need you to seriously consider this morning to stand up and say, put me in. I'm willing to lay aside the fantasies of the American life to represent the justice call of God. That's who I am. That's my purpose. I was born for this moment. I'm not afraid to take up the mantle and the challenge and to take Dave's place in the world. Because you see, folks, that is the ACU difference. To become the presence, to become the justice of God. My friends, you were born for this purpose. Rachel is going to close out our chapel today. Thank you.